we're going to talk about gourds. This was kind of an accidental thing for us. It's one of my inspired ideas, um, but it has been quite an adventure. I've enjoyed it. And the first thing I'll tell you about gourds is they're a lot like people. They come in all shapes, all sizes. They dress the way they want to. They grow where they want to, and basically they're just really unruly. But they've been doing this since ancient times. They go back to gourds were actually found in the Egyptian pyramids. They think the bottle gourds came from Asia and the dipper gourds from Africa. And they've been used for a lot of things. They have touched almost everybody's life. They just don't know it. If you look up at the sky at the night, there's a big and a little dipper. Those were named for gourds. And they've been used for tools ever since they figured out that they could be used for tools. They have been, from drinking vessels to the inspirational item for pottery design. They've been used to store stuff, floats for fish nets. Actually, they even have found that for skull fractures, they would take a piece of gourd and try to replace skull, which I bet makes me shudder to think about. But because along with gourds comes mold, and we'll get into that a little bit later. They're a very wet subject matter. And if you guys have questions, just stop me along. I don't mind that at all. Just jump in. So you can eat gourds. You need to eat them when they're very young. The one in my hand is far too old, and it was a victim of the bush hog. They're a little bit bitter. They're used in Indian and African cuisine. We have not tried that. I haven't really had the desire to. But as you can see, there's lots of seeds in there. They're really wet. And that's the thing to know about gourds. They are messy. So you got to not mind being dirty if you're going to grow gourds. And we're over here tonight just to show you that they truly have a mind of their own. We had corn here last week. The gourds decided we shouldn't, the gourds and the raccoons. The gourds have also decided that they should invade my flowers. And they have never, ever grown up before. But this year, they're going up. So you don't know what they'll do. You also don't know when they'll grow because we didn't plant these gourds. I may not need to get too close to the microphone, Tom. But we didn't plant these gourds. They are volunteers from 2 years ago. And for the most part, these are dipper gourds. There may be some birdhouse gourds mixed in, but they're all in the same family. So we'll just walk through here. We're going to head to the house here in a minute. It'll be a quick little drive. Our garden, we try to garden organic, kind of against my husband's will. It's a struggle. So you can see we have a great crop of ragweed and Johnson grass, and we tried everything to get rid of this stuff, from pulling it to pyro weeding, and I'm not sure what we're going to do. I'm thinking goats are in order for a while. So we have flowers all the way around the garden. We still have tomatoes and okra, some peppers and basil down there, but it's certainly not what we planned. Behind us over here is our orchard. And the tiny little trees that you can see to the left are the ones that I grafted. And so far they have all survived. And we have a little greenhouse that we made from repurposed items. And we also have an asparagus bed and some other raised beds that right now, again, have a great crop of weeds. The flowers that we grow are primarily a wildflower mix, everything from zinnias to sunflowers to lots and lots of cosmos. So that changes from year to year what we grow in it. So the bees have been very happy this year. Are you guys still with me?
Yep, we're here.
Yep. You there?
Yep, we're good.
We're muted.
Mike,
You can hear us.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
Just muted so we can hear you.
Okay. We're going to hop in the car and drive across the creek and up the road, and then I'll show you more about gourds. You guys got any questions while we're doing our little transport here?
Do you have any plans for your gourds this year? You're going to craft them?
No. Again, So yes, I probably will harvest these. As far as drying them, we've learned a lot of things the hard way. Outside on pallets certainly helped a lot with the mess, but they didn't do very well. And in fact, we lost most of our lupa gourds and some of our apple gourds. We grow 3 kinds, well, actually 4. We grow dipper gourds, apple gourds, traditional bottle or birdhouse gourds, and lupa gourds. Lupas did not like drying on pallets at all. And we had a lot more mold than I anticipated. So we moved them actually into the raised bed of our little greenhouse that you all saw. And that was a win. But right now I have gourds everywhere. We had a Dodge Ram extended bed all the way up past the cab. So I have more gourds than I have time. But these are the happy betties. They're here. They're like the gourds. They grow where they want to. So different kinds of gourds. When you get them out of the garden and go through the drying process, they are ugly. This is a birdhouse or bottle gourd. You can see the lovely mold. You do not want this in your house. That's why I have them in our storage building, in my daughter's playhouse, in the barn. They're just hanging in trees. They're everywhere. They dry in roughly a year. This is also, I'm sorry?
2 years from to get rid of.
This is also a type of bottle gourd. It's typically used for martin houses, which is one of the first uses in Africa. They used it for pest control, to bring in martins, and actually tree swallows really like these too. And then this one is one of my favorites, and it's an apple gourd. And it takes 2 years, and you can see all that lovely mold. And the pith in this and the seeds are just epic. I have this injury from it. So they're a little more challenging. I've got some new tools. Hopefully it will be easier. I was going to clean some, but it's just messy and noisy, and I'm just going to tell you about it. I repurposed some old coats, and I usually use 2 or 3. In one, I found a mix of Dawn and bleach. Seemed to work really well. Soak them for 15 minutes. The hard part is keeping them submerged. Gourds float. In fact, they've been known to float as long as 300 days and still have viable seeds. They're very resilient. So the lids help keep them submerged, but about 15 minutes soak, then scrub them with a brush. Some folks use a wire brush. It really destroys the outside skin, which shortens their life. So I use the good old SOS pads. They're wonderful. So I'm going to show you what these look like. This one was the prettiest gourd, but again, they have a mind of their own, and this one decided to crack. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I may make it into a bird feeder or something, but these dry out really, really nice. Pretty thin membrane. They have this really neat little, compartment as part of their growth as they go up through the neck, which I just think is really neat and kind of pretty. Some folks leave that in there for the birds. I take it out. I figure they don't need any extra work. And then this is some of the seeds. And of course, that's just a drop in the bucket. But unless the seeds are black or just soft, I hate to tell you, they're all viable and they will grow. So they're pretty neat. And you can see why this would be used as dishes or for a dipper, because they're just conducive to it. And if they're properly treated with some polyurethane, they'll last as long as 30 years. So our goal with this was to grow these for martin houses. We do not have martin houses up yet. I've been being very artsy with these things. I don't think I have. So you guys tell me what you want to see. Do you want to see what we do to make the holes in them? Oh, I will show you this one. This is a traditional dipper gourd that the Big Dipper's named after. And we actually used to have one of these hanging in our spring when I was growing up. But you basically just cut this out and clean it up a little bit, and it makes a great drinking vessel. I wouldn't drink out of that spring now, but I sure did as a kid. And these these are kind of interesting. These are such good friends. They just wanted to stay together, and I just couldn't bring myself to separate them. I may hang them up that way. I don't know. But those are bottle gourds. This is one of the larger apple gourds, and you can hear that this one's going to be fun to clean because there's no rattle. So it will be really, really fun. These have all been pre-cleaned. And this is probably the prettiest apple gourd that we've grown. And this is what I have to look forward to. And that brings me to the next thing. One of the first musical instruments was gourd maracas. They're also turned into drums and stringed instruments quite frequently in other countries. I might do that, I don't know, I haven't decided. Let's see. So, to prep them for a birdhouse, you need power tools because you've seen the skin is very, very thick. Fortunately, I'm married to a carpenter, so we have drills and a hole saw. And I'm scared to death of the hole saw, but I drilled this one all by myself just a few minutes ago. And there are different sizes depending on what birds that you want to track. We typically use a
inch and 3/8.
Inch and 3/8. That's for bluebirds, wrens, chickadees, nuthatches, and occasionally I think probably a determined starling can get in there, but we haven't seen that. You also want to, because they can overheat, you want to drill vent holes here, and I'll show you some of that, and drainage holes down here. And this is a wealth of seeds. This is from one gourd, and you can see the mold actually can get inside. So if you have allergies, and I do, I have to be very mindful and how much I mess in these and when I mess in them. But you can see, if you guys want gourd seeds, I can hook you up. Gourd seeds are expensive, and you can see why. The cleaning process, when we bought ours, I think I ordered some online and maybe got some at Evergreen. But for about 20 seeds, you're looking at $4, $5. There is a huge market for these just to grow them and sell them. They're measured by size. This one is probably worth, just as it is clean and with no hole in it, probably anywhere from $6 to $12. But you got to find a market. And I will tell you, the Amish folks have got this down. They've been doing this a lot longer than us. One thing I haven't told you is planting and harvesting. So all the gourds we have, the truckload came from about 5 hills, each with 3 to 4 seeds in it. So they're prolific. They take 100 to 180 days to fully fruit, and you have to leave them forever. We left these, you have to leave them until the first killing frost. You do not want any green stem on them. If you do that, they're going to rot, and you will have some loss. I think we've lost, out of all of those that we grew, we probably lost 15, 20, which isn't really bad. So would you like to see some that I've processed?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a bit lazy. I have all these trees, so when it's time to paint them, I just hang them in a tree. So ignore a mess. Again, we have trees down, and I have plants I haven't planted yet. This is the first one that I did. So I am dabbling in wood burning, and I'll show you what I'm using to do that. And what I have found is you can use a stencil on a gourd, but they don't like it. It's not a flat surface. So I may use it to get my outline, but I've learned you got to just kind of freehand everything. It doesn't work. So this one is wood burnt, and I have fallen in love with natural stains. They're water-based. The sad thing about it is they don't last forever, even with lacquer. But the good thing about it is I get to change the color if I don't like it. The wood burning lasts. We made our hangers out of copper wire. And even if you have a messed up gourd, like this one's stem was broke, Gorilla Glue will fix it. It'll look just as pretty. And I sold one of these for $25, I think. So anyway, about 5 holes for drainage because birds are messy. And I don't know if you can see the inside, but I clean them out pretty good. Some folks are lazy and leave it for the bird to do. Again, I just don't want them to do extra work. And this color is like a copper patina. And I just like the gourds. Like I said, I could put as much stain here as I wanted to. It's just not going to take it. But when they get faded, I just restain them. So let me walk up here and I'll grab a few more because I don't think I better get too far from the house.
I love the shaded wood area there. It's very inviting.
Yeah, I just got through mowing my 500 acres of lawn. Could use some trees.
Yeah, we love this little corner of the woods. I grew up here. This is actually, it's hard to grow here, which is why, see there's Happy Betties down there. If I've given them to you, I'm sorry. That's what they do. Goldfinches eat them if you leave them, and they will just grow where they want. And they grow when I can't grow anything else. So I let them go. So apple gourds. This one is red, and you can see the colors, the gourds do what they want to. I will probably paint some more highlights on that to just give it some striping. I will tell you, birds don't love red, so I'm trying to tone them down to a pink. That's the only color that birds don't like. Who knew? But it makes a really pretty apple. And I gave some away. They look like pink ladies, so it's been fun to be artsy with these. This is one I just put the first coat last night. The right order is to clean them, to cut the holes, and then paint them. But I thought, oh, why do that? I'll just cut the hole later because the apple gourds are so hard to clean. So that's my green apple with a very light coat. And they're kind of fun. And I think I'll have less trouble with issues with the birds not liking the color. These are my really artsy ones. This is an olive one. This is before I figured out the copper wire, so it's got a string. And that's got a fern, but it turned out to look like a really funky tattoo and an eye. I'm not sure what the birds will think about it, but we did have some wrens checking it out, so we'll see. I got all my feeders out a little late, or not feeders, but houses. So we haven't had a lot of visitors yet. And you can see, again, there's holes in the bottom of that one. This is one from last night. I thought it was really interesting. It will have to hang in the woods. That color is French toast. It's also a natural stain. And if it were in the heat, it would not do well, or in the sun, it would heat up. The dark colors do. That's why you'll see martin gourds are white or light blue or gray. So it will have to stay in the woods. But I just thought it was a really pretty color. Yeah, it looks kind of leathery or melody. It looks like tobacco.
Yeah, it does.
Pretty pure tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. And then this one has been every color in the rainbow. This was also wood burnt. I used a stencil. I don't like it. I used a stencil for these, but this was just, it just didn't look right. But it started out red, and it was hideous. And I thought, well, I'll just overstain it. So now it's kind of, it's interesting. I haven't decided if I like it or not, but it's certainly one of my most interesting colors.
Looks like a Macintosh apple.
Yeah. We use copper wire because it'll have a nice vertigras. It's also very pliable, so it's forgiving. And Tom showed me how to do this neat little wrap, and that's kind of fun. It's like jewelry making, but it's really forgiving, and you can hook it on those hooks or on a tree limb, and it's just, but I don't have any standard size. Again, it's kind of free flow artistic. And when I spray with polyurethane, I usually do end up spraying the copper as well. Oh, so you probably wonder about this brute toad up here. Megan's a wildlife biologist, and every year since 8th grade, with the exception of 2 or 3, we've grown frogs. It started out with them on the swimming pool, and it's just every year. Now they move them out, and so we usually grow Cope's gray tree frogs. Those have already hatched and moved on. Unfortunately, when we go get the pond water, sometimes we get other things. So we're growing bullfrog tadpoles right now, and they take 2 years to be ready to release. So they're probably headed back to the pond pretty soon, but we wanted to give them a fighting chance. We kind of like hearing them sing at night, so we're always growing something or nursing some bird, or there's always something happening here. So if you guys don't mind, we'll show you how to cut the holes in these. I won't make you suffer through all the drilling, the smallest holes, but I'm hoping this one will be as easy as the other. This one will be made into a martin gore. We're gonna put up a pole and hopefully put up about 40 of these. Living in the woods, there's all kinds of trees and stumps, and mosquitoes are just, we never used to have a problem, but we do now, which is why we also grow the frogs. So this is our best friend for cutting birdhouse holes. And you want to find a place just past the midpoint and a flatter place, and you want to go straight in. And it's that easy. Now, if I tried to do that with just a regular saw, it would be so hard. So this is just a major blessing. And we're going to do some of these bigger, maybe to make some houses for robins. And I don't think I can get this one out as easy, but it makes you think of a wet wasp nest or a sponge. It's just really gooey and membraney and weird. And if you like to play in the dirt when you were a kid, you're going to love gourds. So I'll go inside and I'll show you my wood burning stuff. And let me grab one.
This is Coulter, by the way, the black dog.
Hey, Cole.
Yeah, he's our rescue dog. It's my fault. I thought he was little. He, in the video or in the pictures, he looked this big. He's not. He's just now developed some manners. So things I grow on my porch, I gave up on flowers pretty much a long time ago. I try to grow food or things that don't take much work. So I've got a lime and a lemon tree, marigolds that were left from the garden. This oregano's been in this pot for about 4 years. I've got some rosemary. We use it for our soap making, and the thyme we use it in soap making. We make our own lye soap. We haven't bought soap in how long, Tom?
A long time, my
Probably
life.
4 or 5 years. I drag him to a hobby farm to learn how to make, and he loves it, and I'm just his gopher now. And I've got nasturtiums in there too. That was a garden overage. So anyway, that's my lazy porch gardening. So I'm still experimenting with this stuff. This is a little board that, can you guys see okay? It's a little dark in here.
Let me turn the light up.
Oh, it's cool. I may stop sweating here in a minute. You'll die, and it's better, but it's certainly lost its beauty. But that was a free hand. I just sold vines. There was a stamp with the wood burner and glass of wine, back porch, and a lazy Sunday, and I had a lot of fun. I'm going to do some oil painting on it, but I've been dabbling with acrylics. I did this last night. This is when I painted the dog. But it's been fun rechanneling my inner artist. I don't think I've painted this much since I was a freshman in high school, and I just freehanded this, and we'll cut the hole there, and acrylic should hold up pretty good. And I got lazy. You know, if you guys decide to do this, I did this with a paint pen just to save time. So it just depends on how much I want to invest in it. Things that I use, Hobby Lobby's my friend, but I also felt I had acrylics back when Megan was in elementary school, and believe it or not, they're still good. So I use stencils for some inspiration. Like this is the stencil that I use to make that crazy weird eye. This is foxglove, and that's what that was supposed to look like on that gourd, but it turned into more of a larkspur. And again, what I've learned with gourds is they're going to do what they want. You don't have to have expensive tools. These are just cheap little paint brushes. I use them more than anything. Easiest thing to get the gourd stuff out is my melon baller. And Tom gave me this wire brush. It works on some of the really tough ones. I bought these expensive clay carving tools. They don't work worth a flip. So you just have to kind of play around with it. I do use jewelry tools for the copper wire. And after I got this injury last week that took over a week and a half, actually it was 2 weeks ago to heal, I bought these. Lori will appreciate these. I bought me some hemostats. And I cleaned that gourd out tonight in like 3 minutes. It was a worthy investment. What, $8-9 for those? About this, I use these oils sometimes. They're just a cheap little set, and you can mix whatever colors you want. Use these actually last time to paint my mailbox. The natural things that I was telling you about, I found these at Hobby Lobby, and I really like them. Even though they're not the most durable, you just get the most interesting colors, and it's just color wash tint. And I've got all kinds of colors. These are the paint pens, and I was experimenting with these, so I just bought a couple. They are pricey, $3 a piece. I can get a whole bottle of paint for that, so I don't know that I will do this again. That was just a lazy move on my part. For my paints, you absolutely have to have polyurethane to seal them, or they will not last at all. This is what I did the apple board. The green one up there, I did a light coat so it would show through. Also found a lot of good deals at Folly. I'm doing an ad for them. I found that there, and that's what all my red ones are. And then I found that I could spray this on full, and I can paint, just pre-paint with it, not have to spray paint if I need to put stripes or something, which is how I made my pink lady apples. You guys got any questions?
Pam had a question. Can you refill the paint pens?
No, which is why I probably won't do these again. These are paint markers is what they're called. And I just don't think they're going to hold up a long time. But I'll be honest, I was hurrying and trying to get this done last night, so I sacrificed a little bit.
What's the name
Can
of
you guys hear me okay?
what was the name of the little gadget on the end of your drill for making the big hole? I know what it is, but I don't know what it is.
It's a hole saw.
Okay.
You can get them at Lowe's in about any diameter you would need. Just research to see what size hole the bird you're trying to attract might be.
You typically use those for electrical and for wiring and sheetrock. And I will tell you with gourds, it doesn't like it if you have an old one. It wants you to have a new one. Otherwise, it gets kind of messy. And the one thing I didn't say is I usually sand these just to be nice to the birds. And if you notice, I don't put perches on it. And I know that every birdhouse you see has perches, and really, they don't need it. They're such good flyers, have such good little feet. They don't need it, and it just makes a way for a predator to get in there. Birds suffer from predation from raccoons, other birds, particularly blue jays and starlings. Also, you don't want a hole big enough for a cowbird to get in there because they're the laziest bird in the world, in my opinion. They will either knock other babies out or lay their egg in there. And then that ugly little baby will knock those babies out, and you end up with a bluebird being a bird that's as big as a starling. So I try to be mindful to keep them out. This hole's a lot bigger than I wanted it to be, and this gourd was damaged, so we just went with where the hole really already was. Gourds can be noxious, so that's why I'm banished to wood burning on the back porch. It stinks, and I don't usually do it for a long time. Probably why I drink a glass of wine when I don't know. I seem to do that, but it does really stink, but it's fun.
You clean them out every year after the birds nest in them?
It's a good idea too. You don't have to, but I don't have any this year, but we did. We have bluebirds this year, and it was really funny. We put up bluebirds to attract bluebirds for our garden. And we did have some, but the bluebirds like the martin house, and the tree swallows like the birdhouse, and those we will have to clean out. But I had a really bad experience here. I had a fern one year and I had wrens in it. I'm not going to touch a birdhouse until after it's frost and it's cold because I got in bird lice and that was an awful experience and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It was bad. So this is just a little cheap wood burning set. I don't even know what brand it is. I have my glasses on. But I think I bought it at Walmart or Lowe's. It has, we may have to go back inside to show you this, but you can solder with it, you can cut with it. I haven't done that yet. That's something I need to do. But it has different stamps and everything. I tend to use the regular bit on it, and I'm just going to freehand something. You have to turn it up super high. Hopefully it is. And you have to be patient. I'm just going to draw a line. I'll turn that into a vine or something. But you can see it smokes and it's a little stinky. But you go over it a few times, you could actually burn a hole all the way through the gourd if you chose to. But I don't think I'd want to. So, and I can just turn that into a flower, a vine. You've seen some things that I've done with it. Eventually, I may upgrade to a better one. Tom actually gave me a little bit better one, but I burned a hole in the gourd with it. So I'm back to the cheap one. And I was going to show you guys this one. We'll go back inside, Tom. It'll be a little easier to see. I'm going to unplug my wood burner because the fire hazard. But this is what I really love about the natural stones. So this little gourd, it started out, it was the ugliest thing in the whole world. It was spotted, it had mold, it had white spots. And after several coats of that, and putting a couple of different colors, but mostly this was like a burgundy color, it looks like a pretty little pomegranate. And I can overwash that with copper and pick that up. So I just love the freedom and the color. And like I said, when it starts fading, I can just change it to something else. I've learned that I can wood burn after I stain, which is really nice. With the water-based stains, it doesn't matter. If it was oil paint, that's a whole different thing. It's a little more flammable, at least if it's still damp at all. Trying to see anything else. So I told you they float. Told you about the Big Dipper. More history about gourds. They have been a part of our history, not only back to early times, but the Native Americans use them a lot. The Chickasaw and Cherokee used them and grew them. But they use them as tools, mostly to store food. And you can imagine if you cut the top off of this and did a little basket weave here, you could store your seeds in it or your grain or whatever. And they're waterproof. They do not get wet after they're cured. They will last, like I said, 30 years or more. So they're incredibly durable. And I've dropped a bazillion of these. In fact, you guys saw me drop one earlier. They don't care. They're just tough. So I like that about them. I like the resilience. I like the unique characters they have. And hopefully someday we'll turn this into a retirement gig and sell some at the farmer's market. But you can see it's a bit labor intensive and it's an investment of time. 2 years to cure out, it's a commitment because they take up a lot of space. And there's not many places on our farm or homestead. There's not a gourd somewhere. But I've really enjoyed it, and Tom's humored me through it, and Megan's helped me pick them in the middle of the night. So it's been a lot of fun. So that's about all I've got. Do you guys have any questions? Anything you want to ask? These little flowers, I started with a clump, not much bigger than this, about 12 years ago. And they're Rudbeckia. I can't tell you exactly what type they are. But my favorite flowers are what I call legacy flowers or love line flowers. I have my grandmother's tinies is what she called them. I know they're peonies. I have those over there. I have her irises. So flowers that have a story are just really meaningful to me. I have pawpaws from Heather. But these are, even though they're Rudbeckia, we call them Happy Bettys. My best friend from high school, her aunt, her name was Betty Gray. and she was an old maid, and she was very angry, very ornery, and the grumpiest woman you'll ever meet, and said very inappropriate things. She was like that all the time, except when she was with the people she loved or in her garden. And so Betty gave me these, and so when Betty was in her garden, and particularly when she was growing these, she was a different lady. And so these flowers, I love them, and they're very weedy right now, but I absolutely love them because in the summer when they're in full bloom, and they're fading now, inside our house glows with yellow, and it's impossible to be in a bad mood. And I just feel like they smile. And even when they're imperfect, I think they're perfect. We have butterflies in the fall. I leave these up, which is why they're so out of control. We'll have goldfinches in them, which is why they spread. But to me, they just speak of the simple things can bring love and happiness to somebody. And I have sent these things all over creation. I gave Melody an unseemly amount. I have mailed them everywhere, including to my best friend and her brother and Betty's niece, so that they can have her legacy flowers. So pretty cool. So if you guys want some Happy Betties, I can hook you up. I got about 3 quarts left.
Plant swap, plant swap.
I will tell you, harvesting the seeds is also a labor of love. You have to rub a lot of seed heads together to get as many seeds as I gave you, Melody, so I love you a lot. So that's the story of the Happy Betties, and they'll be prettier when I clean it out, but it's rained and we haven't. We've been taking care of trees. We actually had an ash tree fall and damage our deck, hit our house, and then we had one that obliterated our chicken coop. So we've been prioritizing tree removal. So you do what you got to do, but you master gardeners know about that. I'm a lazy gardener. You guys can probably tell that now. I have good intentions for follow through. If you've noticed here in my Happy Betties, they're stumped. They don't look as pretty as they used to. Happy Betties are not supposed to be in them, but they are. Coulter, stop. But we actually had to fall a tree up here, and I cried and cried because it was my favorite tree. And it was the heaviest logs I've ever moved. And we found out the tree was hollow, and I told my husband, I'm tired. I'm not moving them anymore. I'm going to hollow them out the rest of the way and plant flowers in them. They were, what, Tom? 10 years?
Close to it.
So I'm a lazy gardener.
They're hollow black oak.
Yeah, they're hollow black oak. I have tried to grow all kinds of things here in the woods, and I've learned I just have to deal with what nature likes here. And so anyway,